Hello, grade 9. How are you today? I hope you all are safe and well. We have learned about investigating inheritance, and we said that our features are influenced by the genes that we inherit from our parents. So we can inherit genes from the parents, half of them from the parents, and half of them from the mother, and half of them from the father. And also these genes come in pairs, and organisms can inherit two different versions of these genes. So when one of the pairs is dominant, so it will control the characteristics, and that's why we call it dominant. And if we have a dominant gene, the recessive gene does not show up if the dominant gene with it. So in this case, we can have good characteristics or features, and we can use this in breeding for animals and for plants to get better generations. So today we will talk about selective breeding. Selective breeding is a process that it have been used since like more than thousands of years ago. And they are using it to improve the generations of animals and plants. And in this case, they can they can resist diseases, and they can get stronger offsprings. So open your books on page 216 and grab your highlighter and follow me. Selective breeding. Cats. All breeds of cat share one scientific name, Felis catus. They are all descended from desert wildcats that lived in the Middle East 10,000 years ago. How could they end up looking so different? So before 10,000 years ago, these wildcats, they look like each other, but now you can see different features in the cats. So how come they became like this? These cats, they descended. That means they come from, or they come from another generations, another cats, another kind of cats. These cats were desert wildcats. Okay, so now what's the thing that made them so different in their looking, and in their features and their behaviors? So this is all because of selective breeding. Over years and years, scientists used this selective breeding to create new generations and better generations and different generations of animals. So in this case, they got more variation in animals with characteristics, with health and everything that related to these animals. Wildcats show a lot of variation. Each cat inherits a unique combination of genes from its parents. So they all look different and behave differently. So each cat here has different genes, or unique combination of genes from the mother and father, from the parents. So that's why they look so different and they act so different. So about 10,000 years ago, the tamest ones started to live with humans. The tamest one, which is the domestic ones, or the humble ones, the ones that we can keep them, the pets. Okay, these are the tamest ones. They started to live with humans. The pet cats we have now were produced by selective breeding. From these cats, there are 4 steps involved. So here are some kittens that we can we can keep them in our houses. These are domestic ones. So they are not wild, so we can raise them in our houses. So these cats, they came from, or they were produced by selective breeding to become in this shape or in these features. But they were doing this in 4 steps. They should involve 4 steps to breed the cats. First, they need to decide what characteristics you want the next generation to have. Do you want them to look strong? Do you want them to look big? Do you want their faces to be like small? Do you want their eyes to be wide open or tight, or whatever you want? You have to decide which characteristic you want to have in these cats. Then you need to choose the parents. You need to choose the parents that one of them with features that you want and the other one with another feature. For example, I need the father to be, or the male to be strong, big, with round big head and wide open eyes, and I need the mother to be white and with brown dots on her back. Okay, so you need to choose the parents. So choose parents that have some of these features and breed them together. So you need to breed them together to have offsprings. So then they will have kittens that with different features that can have both features from mother and father. So in this case, you will select the offspring with the characteristics you prefer and breed these together. So the third step, you need to choose the best characteristics that you want, and then you need to breed them together again. Then repeat the process over many generations. In this time, each generation will be better than the one before, and also it will have new characteristics or new features. Sometimes it will increase in size. Sometimes the shape will be different because each one of them have different genes and unique set of genes or combination of genes with strong features. So in this case, if you repeated this process over many generations, you will have new, totally different generations from the parents. If you want a small black cat with big ears, this is an example. You could mate a male black cat with small female cat that has big ears. So guess which generation or offspring you will have. So at least you will get 2 or 3 of them black with big ears. So then you should keep the kittens that are smallest and blackest and have the biggest ears. These will be your next set of parents. You need to raise them, you need to keep them, you need to take care of them, and then breed them together. So eventually you could produce a new breed with all 3 features. So in this case, you can breed them and you can get more another features in them, and you can get your special characteristics or features of these cats. Okay, so what about the animals? Why they are using the selective breedings in farm animals? Better farm animals. These Holstein Friesian cows have been selectively bred to give far more milk than their ancestors would. So these kinds of cows, they call them Holstein Friesian. These are breed of dairy cattle originated from special kind of cows called Dutch in North Holland and Friesland, and another type or another kind or another generation, or not generation, sorry, another kind of cows in Germany. Okay, so when they bred them together, now they are known as the world's highest production dairy animals. They can produce large amounts or more milk, more dairies than their parents or their ancestors would. They will give birth and start producing milk before they are 2 years old. Sorry. Other breeds produce less milk but are better at resisting diseases. So this is another feature or another characteristic in another kind of cows. So if they want to get like a good production of milk, cows with good production of milk and resisting of diseases, they have to breed them together. They have to breed the Holstein Friesian with another cow that resists disease. So if they are crossed with Holstein Friesian, these ones that can resist diseases, their offspring may inherit useful characteristics from both breeds. Other breeds of cow have been selectively bred to be strong enough to pull a car or a plow, which is good for in farming. So this is how can they create, or they can get better farm animals by breeding the best ones, or the best ones with the best features together, and then they can get a better offspring and like to be useful in farming or in producing milk or even meat, because they are big in size, and they can use them also to pull the plow to farm. Okay, now let's see the better crops. Let's see this selective breeding in crops. How can they take this advantage, or they take a benefit of this selective breeding to use it in crops or on crops? This is maize, one of our main cereal crops. Evidence from fossils shows that the plant has been selectively bred for at least 10,000 years. Its wild ancestor produced just few tiny seeds. Modern maize plants produce a much bigger seed heads that their distant ancestors did. So here, this is the maize that we are using in our daily life. So this is like very important in our life, because we are making flour from it, and we are producing oil from it. So once, like before 10,000 years ago, these maize, they were bred with two types. Like one of them can produce much bigger seeds, big seeds, and the other one can produce more. So when they bred them together, they got bigger seeds head that can have more corn, and they can get more corn from these maize. Okay, so what about, this is about like how can they make the crops better? So what is this mutation? So in selective breeding, sometimes we have like we can name it as a mistake or small problem, simple problem that can cause different genes, or can cause like something weird or something totally different from what we expect to get. So this is called mutation. If we got something different, like between these crops or these animals, this called mutation. Occasionally, mistakes are made when cells copy their genes. So when we mentioned about the genes and the dividing of cells, we said that the nucleus should copy itself and should copy the genes inside it. So if a mistake has happened or a mistake is made, we will get a mutation. So this is called a mutation. This mutation, most of it are harmless. But some mutations stop genes working properly. They cause genetic diseases. So that's why people, they try to, before they try to clone, to copy animals, but because they started to copy by themselves, so they got mutations that cause death to animals and cause death to crops even. Very occasionally, mutations produce in you individuals that look different or have characteristics that make them more useful. So this is mutation, just something totally different. So they can produce offsprings that look different, or they have characteristics are more useful, but not every time. We said like most of the time they are harmless, but they can cause a lot of diseases, or especially genetic diseases, because these are related to the genes. Sweet corn is a variety of maize with a mutated gene. The gene makes it store more sugar and less starch in its seeds, so it tastes sweet. Plant and animals breeders try to pass the most useful genes in a population to the next generation. So we have here a sweet corn. This sweet corn is a mutation. When they start to breed or to choose the crops or to breed the maize together, it happened to get to have a mutation in some of these plants or these crops, and this mutation, this gene made the maize to store more sugar and less starch. In this case, they got the sweet corn. So this is something useful because it has less starch and the taste is different. So it's nothing like harmful or something, but not every time, as I said. Some mutations can cause seriously genetic diseases. So that's why they have to choose carefully, and they have to choose better crops, the best crops or the best features. Now I'm going to leave you with a video of breeding of some cats, okay? And you can read the advantages and disadvantages of selective breeding. This is disadvantage, which is interbreeding, which is these can breed the relatives together. This can cause genetic diseases also. So this is one of the disadvantages. So here we have one of these disadvantages, which is called lordosis, which is like their neck is curved. Okay, this is like a disease. So now, after watching this video, let's go to the summary of the lesson. Selective breeding. Members of species vary because they have different combinations of genes. Selective breeding produces animals with specific features by controlling which animals produce offspring. Over many generations, this can produce new varieties of plant and new breeds of animal. What is mutation? It's a change in a gene. Most are harmless, but some can cause genetic disease. So this was all about selective breeding. I hope you understood the lesson. If you have any question, write it down and don't forget the yellow box. And don't forget to write these notes in your notebooks. See you soon next time. Stay safe and we will meet in a new lesson. Bye bye.